Welcome to the Clique podcast. I'm Dani Watson, a mindset and manifestation expert and founder of The Clique, a company that helps women overcome their fears and limiting beliefs to create a life and business that they love. Within this podcast, I will help you get clear on what you want, identify the blocks that are holding you back, transform your mindset and raise your vibration so that you can co-create magic with the universe. If you are looking to design a life that truly sets your soul on fire and manifest more success and abundance, then you are in the right place. Hello ladies, happy Monday. I hope you're all having a great start to your week. I am currently sat in, I say my office, I like to call it my sacred space, and I'm pretty excited because today it's starting to feel really like autumn here in the UK. It's starting to feel a little bit cold. It's a bit of a grey day, and in my sacred space I had a log burner installed. So I'm really excited actually for it to get cold so I can actually use it, get the fire going and make the space really cozy. I still need to take some pictures of my sacred space. I had it built a couple of months ago now. It was finished a couple of months ago, but I was in Mallorca for a large chunk of time, so didn't really get the chance to use it, and it still needs a bit of zhuzhing inside. I need some sort of soft furnishings, some artwork in there and some cushions and things, so it's still a bit of a blank shell, but once it's done I will take some pictures and pop them onto Instagram for you guys to see the space in which I work, to see the space in which I do my mindset work, where I work on my business. What I'd also like to do actually at some point is create either a podcast or a video of the components of creating a sacred space and what I feel is important to create an environment that, really helps you to raise your vibration. A space that really helps you to get into the zone when it comes to working on your mindset and, incorporating the law of attraction into your life. So yeah, I will save that for another episode or perhaps even a video. For today though, I am going to this might actually turn into a two-part episode depending on how we get on today. I wanted to start answering some of your questions about how to get started as a coach, because these are questions that I get asked all the time, and maybe you're somebody right now who has perhaps already decided she wants to become a coach, or maybe you're listening to this podcast and thinking, I am so interested in the law of attraction, I'm really interested in mindset work, I'm passionate about this, and you love the idea of turning this passion into a career, into a business where you can incorporate this passion into doing something that you actually get paid for. So I thought I would answer some of the most commonly asked questions that get sent over to either myself or, to the rest of the team about getting started as a coach and what that actually looks like. And I guess the first question I will tackle is whether or not you actually need to have worked with a coach yourself in order for you to become a coach. Okay, so maybe you've been listening to this podcast and thinking, I would love to be able to work with a coach. I'd love somebody to help me with my mindset and, be supported through that process. And I do feel that a lot of women discover the coaching world because they've worked with a coach previously. In fact, that was my journey. My sort of step into coaching was the fact that I had worked with a coach who was helping me with my mindset, helping me with my self-worth, with my confidence, with getting clear on my purpose. And doing that, having that experience made me realize, wow, this is something that I feel that I would love to do as well. Okay, but I wouldn't say that that is a prerequisite for becoming a coach. It is not an absolute truth that you must work with a coach in order to become one. In fact, we have lots and lots of women that we train in the Clique Academy that have never worked privately with their own coach before. However, I truly believe that as you are training to become a coach, you need to be getting coached on your mindset, okay? I don't necessarily feel that it's enough to just be working through that process by yourself, okay? So you're either somebody that's kind of worked with a coach beforehand, or you decide to become a coach and then you get coached on your mindset as you go through that process. Now, one of the reasons why we included quite a substantial amount of mindset coaching and an opportunity for our students to get coached on their mindset inside the Clique Academy was for this very reason. From my experience, the most powerful way to coach your clients and for you to be able to show up as the best version of you for the people that you coach, for me, it really requires for you to be going all in on your mindset too. Okay, so we make it a non-negotiable for our students coming into the Clique Academy. You know, these students, as they're training to become a coach, we make it a non-negotiable that they're working on their mindset as they go through their process. And that can it looks like a number of different things. So it's either our students are partnering up with other coaches from the program. So it may be partnering up with women that are very much at a similar stage in the journey to them. Or it may be that our students are partnering up with some of our graduates. That is a common thing that we see our students, our current students, getting coached by the women that have already been through our program, that have already trained with us, that have already got certified as a coach. A lot of the time when coaches first get certified, when they sort of graduate, they want to test their coaching, they perhaps want to get more practice clients, they maybe want to beta test their programs. And for our existing students, the people that are currently, working their way through their certification, it's a great way for them to get coached by somebody who's more advanced than them and then work on their mindset and get coached on their mindset as well. The other way in which our students get coached on their mindset is through our weekly coaching calls. So these calls are conducted by our professional level coaches. These are women that have already achieved incredible things within their own coaching careers. They've got lots and lots of experience as a coach. And during these calls, our current students can volunteer to get coached and get coached one-on-one by our coaches. And again, for me, this is such a crucial part of the process. It's funny because I think often when people start a new business, they get so caught up in the business side of things, things like social media and, what do I need to do? How do I register my business? What happens with taxes? And all of the sort of the nitty gritty stuff without actually realizing that the most important step before thinking about what you need to do is who you need to be. In order for you to create that success as a coach, who do you need to be? Who do you need to start becoming today? And who you are becoming is a product of the mindset work that you are doing. And I've used this phrase before, standing on the shoulders of giants. What coaching can do, it's almost giving you like a leg up into your future success. Rather than you trying to sort of struggle to kind of leap over that fence by yourself, a coach is basically giving you a leg up over that fence so you can get over the fence quicker, more effectively, and without without potentially breaking a leg in the process. So for me, that's why within the Clique Academy, our students, they're getting coached multiple different opportunities for that, and it's really critical, I believe, for your future success. But as I said, it doesn't necessarily need to be that you've worked with a coach previously for you to decide that you want to become a coach. Maybe, and this is actually the case for many of our students, they've not necessarily worked with a coach, but they've done a lot of work on themselves before. Maybe they've already been reading a lot of books around mindset. And so then maybe this is you. Maybe you're somebody right now that's read lots of books about mindset. You've been listening to some podcasts. You've been watching lots of videos. I would also say, take that as a sign as this is where you're meant to be, as coaching is where you're meant to be. Because I firmly believe that the universe doesn't send us these interests or passions for no reason. There is a purpose behind it. And I think if you are naturally gravitating towards something, let's say, law of attraction, mindfulness, meditation, you're naturally gravitating towards the world of personal development. For me, that is a strong sign that that is where you're meant to be. It's the universe giving you a nudge. It's saying to you, look, here is this incredible world. Open your eyes a little bit and maybe have the courage to step into it. It's perhaps giving you a sign that this is your path as well. And for me, it took working with a coach to kind of realize, okay, this definitely is my path. But before I'd made that decision, I was reading all the books. I was consumed by the world of, law of attraction and mindset. I was absolutely obsessed with it. It was, it just became such a huge part of my life. And, it made me realize that this is obviously what I'm being drawn to. It's the stuff that I would want to be, immersing myself in, even if I wasn't getting paid for it. And for me, that's a very, very good sign that coaching is the path for you. Because if you're somebody who is just hungry for information, who just wants to learn, who just loves to read the books and to listen to the podcasts and just loves being in this world, that is going to serve you very, very well when you embark on your coaching journey. Now, the other question that I get asked a lot is, well, it's not really a question. It's more of a concern or a fear. And that fear is, I still have loads of stuff that I'm working through. Who on earth will hire me as a coach? If I'm not the most confident person in the room, if I'm not the most successful person, if I'm still struggling with my self-worth, if I'm still struggling financially, if my life is still a mess right now, what on earth makes me feel like other people would pay me to coach them? And so I guess the question here is, do I need to have everything figured out and to, be my highest version of me in order to show up for my clients and to coach them in a powerful way? And my answer is absolutely not. And you can be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. And what I mean by that is that you can still be working through your stuff. You can still have a lot of areas in your life where you're not necessarily happy, where you're still struggling, where you're still, lacking that self-worth or struggling to manifest what you want or struggling with limiting beliefs. You can still have all of that going on, yet still be able to powerfully coach your clients. Going back to what I said earlier, you want to make sure that you are doing the work and committed to doing that work on yourself, but you certainly don't need to be there yet. And when I say there, I'm doing that in inverted commas because ultimately there is no there. There's always going to be something more for you to work on, something more for you to develop. Growth isn't just a linear thing, getting from A to B and then you're done. Growth is something that you're going to be experiencing throughout your life for all eternity, right? There's going to be always that next level that you can take yourself to. Okay, so if you're looking for this kind of, I've got to be this sort of perfect person or have my stuff figured out for you to start, you are completely wrong. And actually, for me, I found the quickest and fastest way to really kind of take myself to that next level was by starting to help others. Because there is nothing that is going to make you kind of really look at your own inner stuff and do the work like learning how to help others. When you're in that process of learning how to coach and become the best coach that you can be, you are required to really turn inwards as well. And what I love, especially, I guess, in the Clique Academy, is that the process that the ladies use, our students are using to coach others, as they're learning those skills and those tools, they are almost their own first client. One of the things that we encourage all of our students to do is to go through those exercises, go through, those coaching tools and exercises on themselves first, so that they have that experience of going through that process. And again, this is why we encourage our students to, get coached as well as they're learning how to coach. So it doesn't matter if you've still got a lot of stuff going on. Now, coming back to this fear of, well, if I do have all of this stuff going on, why would anybody ever invest in me? And what you will probably find is by the time you're ready to work with paid for clients, a huge amount will have changed. Okay, your learning curve and your own your own, growth curve when you start becoming a coach is so steep. It's like you go from 0 to 100 in very, very short space of time. The breakthroughs that you have, the transformations that you have personally as you're training to become a coach are incredible. So don't judge how you're feeling right now and the stuff that you've got going on right now. Don't judge where you're at right now and compare it to where you're going to be when it comes to you working with paid for clients, because I promise you, it's going to look very, very different. Okay? By the time you're working with paid for clients, chances are you will have gone through some incredible shifts. Your confidence will have increased, your self-worth will have increased, you will be feeling like you've got a lot more self-belief in yourself. You will have perhaps already started to see pretty significant changes manifest for you, in your physical world. So maybe it's things like, leaving your job or starting to see success within your business or starting to have people reach out to you, to work with you. And, all of those things combined, by the time that you are working with paid for clients and putting yourself out there, a lot will have changed within you and within your physical world. Okay. Now, the other thing I'd like to say is that going back to this idea that, if I've not got it all figured out, how can I possibly coach others? Nobody is perfect. Even the most incredible coaches, the most powerful coaches will still have the stuff that they are working through. And the important thing is not that you've worked through it and you're at the other side, is that you are committed to working through it. And this is where I say, you can be a work in progress and a masterpiece. And I say this phrase because it was very much relating to my own experience. When I first started coaching, oh my goodness, I was still in that process very much, and always will be in that process of working on myself. But at the beginning, wow, I had a lot of things that I was working through. My self-worth was at an all-time low. My confidence was very, very low. The thought of doing anything like, for example, recording this podcast, that never would have been like an option for me when I first started out. I was, terrified of doing things like public speaking, terrified of what people would think of me, being criticized, being judged, not being good enough, all of the stuff. Yet when it came down to it, when it came down to me and my client and just me and them, and I kind of cut out all the noise, all of, my stuff. If I put my, stuff to the side for 1 second and I made it just about my client and serving them and, showing up for them in the best way I could in that moment, I actually realized that I was pretty good at coaching. Okay. When I silenced the noise of my own, limiting beliefs, my own unworthiness, I actually realized that my clients were getting amazing results. I was getting incredible feedback. I was getting emails after a session, from my clients saying, that was just the most wonderful hour I've had, and thank you so much. And it made me realize, it doesn't matter about me and what I've got going on. What matters today is how I'm showing up for them. And there may be still lots for me to learn as a coach. And there may be, my skills as a coach are going to improve, but right now it doesn't matter. I am committed to showing up right now with the best of what I have and trusting in that moment it will be enough. Okay? And that's the thing, it's trusting. Whatever you have right now, it is more than enough. You are more than enough. What you have within you is more than enough right now to powerfully serve your clients. Because if you're constantly looking at yourself from a place of not enough, I don't know enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not confident enough, I'm not skilled enough, what are you going to see mirrored back to you? That not enough, that lack mindset is going to be mirrored back to you with more lack. And that translates into clients perhaps not feeling you're enough for them. People not wanting to invest because they think, oh, well, she's not good enough. What you're attracting from other people is a reflection of how you believe in what you believe in yourself. Okay? But as I said, from my experience, I was still working through my own stuff and I was still getting amazing results. It's not about you, it's about how you are showing up and who you're able to be for your clients. Now, tied in with this, another question is, do I I don't know anything about coaching. I don't know how to coach. Like, can I become a coach when I know nothing? Well, I mean, the whole point of getting trained as a coach and going through that process of getting your certificate is that you're not supposed to know everything. In fact, you're pretty much supposed to be at the beginning. That's absolutely fine. If you already knew everything about coaching, you'd already be doing it by now, right? You'd already be coaching others and have a successful coaching business. If you're right at the start and worried, I don't know anything, therefore I cannot coach, you're forgetting that you were at the beginning and you're not supposed to know everything. It's the point of getting trained. That's the point of getting certified. What you do need to have is a commitment to come into this and become the best coach that you can be, to be continuously learning, to be continuously developing your coaching skills. And for me, when I started, that was so, so important, because I had found something and it felt like it took me a hell of a long time to find this thing, right? To find coaching. And so by the time that I did discover this world, I made a commitment to myself. I was like, I don't just want to dip a toe in this. I want to go all in. I want to become the best coach that I can be. I want to be able to, become somebody who is really admired and respected within the industry. I want to be somebody that when my clients have a session with me, they're telling me how much that's changed their lives. I knew I just wanted to become incredible at what I did. And so it didn't matter at that stage that I didn't know anything. What mattered was that commitment to get trained, to get certified, to continuously be learning and developing and adding into my skill set as a coach. And that's what I continue to do today. Now, one of the other questions then that I get asked so often is just how long does the whole process take? And really, I think what people are eager to know here is, when can I start making money as a coach? When will I be in a position perhaps to leave my full-time job and, just coach full-time? And I guess that's a tricky question to answer because it completely depends on what you need financially, what you need to replace your current income. And people have different outgoings that, means that, in their current life, which means they're going to need to earn different amounts depending on what their current outgoings are. So somebody may actually not need a huge amount each month in order to kind of keep themselves going and keep themselves afloat. Somebody else might have a huge mortgage, private school fees to pay for, other stuff that is a constant sort of outgoing each month. So, what it's going to take for you to be able to make enough money to replace your current income is a tricky question. But what I can give you is sort of a bit of guidance of how soon you could be making money and typically what new coaches can be making. Now, again, I want to kind of come back to my journey because I do believe that everything that I've been able to achieve as a coach, it can be replicated by everybody. I certainly wasn't special in that, I was very much at the beginning, didn't know anything about coaching, was basically a hot mess when it came to my mindset. I didn't have any business experience. I'd never started a business before. I was in a full-time job, so I didn't have, all the hours in the world to spend. Financially, I was in a bit of a bad place, so I didn't have huge amounts of money to invest in myself. When I did invest, that was a big decision for me, and I had to put it on credit cards. And so, I was in a position where a lot of things were stacked against me when I was starting my coaching business. And yet, despite that, within 3 months of launching my business, I was able to hand my notice in for my job and, step away from that job and just rely on my coaching. And what was really interesting was that it was that month as well that I also hit my first 10K within my business. So £10,000 in 1 month. And I know a lot of people speak about like hitting these financial milestones. I don't know what it was. I think because I'd seen it online, people talking about hitting their first 10K or getting through to 6 figures within their first year, that I don't know, I'd set this goal for myself and I was like, that is what I want to be doing. And I was so kind of adamant that, okay, this is the goal that I'm aiming for. And I'm determined to make 6 figures within my first year, which is, I went on to make more than 6 figures within my first year. But in terms of, the the time that it took. As I said, I firmly believe, given where I was at the time and that there was a lot of things that were stacked against me, I don't see any reason why other people can't go out and replicate that kind of success. And in fact, I've seen many, many other women since. Our students from the Clique Academy go on and achieve, some of them have achieved things in a far quicker time scale than I did. We had one of our students, and I think she broke through the 6-figure mark after just 8 months of launching her business. So, that was way, way quicker than what I did it in. So I know that it is possible. I've seen it happen. And what I do say as well, and this is really, really important, is that it's not always about how quick you do things or how quick you start making money or how quickly you leave your job, because those things are great, but honestly, it's who you're becoming in the process that is more important, okay? Because ultimately, if you're committed to this path, if you come into coaching, you're like, this is it for me now. This is what I want to do. I believe that this is going to be my future. I trust that this is my path and I'm committed to this path. If you come in with that energy, every single person who becomes a coach has the chance to be successful, okay? It's not like you're stepping into an industry where you're unsure about whether or not people need it or want it. There are so many people out there looking for coaches, willing to invest in coaches. It is an industry that is growing at an incredibly quick rate, okay? You're not coming in and reinventing the wheel here. You're stepping into a proven industry which has people willing to invest. Okay, so the only question is, are you willing to stay in the game? Because it will be tough. There's going to be times where you are going to be challenged, okay? But as I said, it's not necessarily about how quick, you see success, how quickly you make money, because a big part of becoming a coach is who you're becoming in that process. Okay, you're all going to get there. You're all going to get to the stage where you're getting that first paid for client, where you're handing your notice in, where you're, working with clients, and that's kind of your full-time job. You will all get to that stage. It's just going to look like a different time frame for everybody, and that's okay. It is not a race, and you should just embrace and trust your journey. We have some of our students who it takes them a year to get their first paying client. And it's not because during that time they were doing things wrong or they were getting things wrong or they were failing. It's because they were going through certain things. We've had so many of our students that perhaps have launched their business and thinking, right, I'm ready for this now. And then realized, actually, there's still stuff that I need to work through first. And that is okay. And you cannot rush that process. Okay, so to say there's a set timeline for everybody I would be lying to you, because for some of you, it will take longer than others. For some of you, it will happen very, very quickly. It completely depends what you are ready for and what you need to go through first in order to get yourself to that stage. This transformational phase that you go through as you're training to become a coach, that is so important. Because that is your foundation, your solid foundation, okay? And you want to make sure that you've got that solid foundation before you kind of jump into that next phase of, okay, I'm a coach now, I'm getting paid for this. Starting with that solid foundation. And what I'd like to reiterate here is that the speed in which you take off within your business, the speed at which you start making money and start working with paid for clients, does not determine your success as a coach. So I feel that I relatively, took off pretty quickly for me. It was in a relatively short space of time. I went from, launching my business to actually being able to quit my job. But there was other women who started around the same time as me that I trained with, or, that I knew that were kind of just starting as well, who took a lot longer for things to get going. It took them perhaps 6 months, maybe even 12 months for them to step away from their job and to actually kind of just be making money from coaching. Yet these same women, I see them today and they're achieving incredible things. They've had huge amounts of growth since then. So just because it takes you longer to get going doesn't mean you're going to be less successful as a coach. Now, just whilst we're on this topic of making money, one of the things that we encourage our students to do is actually to start working with paid for clients whilst they're still training. So it depends on what you feel comfortable for, and there's certainly no rush. But what we find is that a lot of our students, as they're going through the process, as they're getting trained as a coach, and they start learning some of the skills, and they start to, develop awareness of different coaching skills and coaching exercises, they want to start testing it out and doing so with paid for clients. And we are very much for encouraging that, because sometimes the best way to learn and to grow as a coach is to just do. So what we actually find is that many of our students start earning money whilst they're still getting trained, whilst they're, still going through that process. And it may be that you're not, charging huge amounts at this stage. If you're not yet certified, it may not be that you're, charging what you ultimately want to charge. But it's a great way to get into that mindset of, I am getting paid for this. It makes it start to feel real rather than just like something that you're playing around at. It's like, I am developing these skills. I've invested in myself. I am becoming better and better each day. And I recognize that this is a service that is worth being paid for. Even if it's just a small amount to begin with, we very much encourage our students to get into that mentality. What was also important for me when creating the Clique Academy was that students could go at their own pace. There wasn't this forced timeline of you've got to get certified within, 2 months, or it needs to take you 6 months. People can come into this process and they can kind of train and get certified at their own pace. They can start working with paid for clients at their own pace, depending on what they are ready for. And that for me was super important, because I'd been through programs before where it was very much dictated to me of, the pace at which I was expected to work. So you'd come into it and they'd say, this is a 12-week program and you've got to go through this module this week, this module next week. And it was very much this very rigid, structured approach. And that didn't really work well for me, because I was somebody that wanted to work quicker. I was like, I want to get, I want to move faster through this process. I want to, get on to next week's. And I felt like that sort of structured system held me back a little bit. And I know that for our students as well, some of our students want to move quickly. They want to get themselves trained as quickly as possible, to start working with paid for clients as quickly as possible. And if they are in that mentality, we give them the space to do that. Equally, there's other people that want to take things slower. They want to kind of, move through at a much, much slower pace. And there is no right or wrong here. This is why we allow our students to be the guide of how quick things start, to unfold for them. Okay, it's kind of left in your hands. We allow you to make that choice. Now, there's so many other questions that I would like to kind of answer about becoming a coach and getting started. But I'm going to wrap it up for today, and I will come back to those questions in another episode, perhaps next week, or I may leave it a couple of weeks. But if you do have any questions though, yourself about what it takes to become a coach, any questions about getting started and what that might look like, please send your questions across. You can reach out to me on Instagram, Dani_Watson_coaching, or you can send an email to the team, hello@wearetheclique.com. So enjoy the rest of your Monday, enjoy the rest of your week, and I will catch you again on the next episode. Bye, ladies. If you are wanting to build your own successful online coaching business, make sure to check out Freedom, Abundance and Impact, our free 10-day business and mindset course for coaches and aspiring coaches. To access, simply head to wearetheclique.com and click free course in the menu.